Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp and Chance. I'm your host, Bobby Sampson, joined as always with my man, Mr. Chance Michaels. Chance, how you doing today, brother?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. We are one night away, basically. Here we are. It's Friday evening. Uh the sleep before Canelo versus John Ryder. John Ryder, man. Wow. I can't wait for
On
this one.
pay-per-view, on the zone.
On the zone pay-per-view, Cinco de
In Mexico.
Mayo in Mexico as well. So first off, to all our Mexican friends and Mexican listeners out there, happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope you celebrate with your families, your friends, your loved ones, and everyone is safe. We all know who Canelo Alvarez is. I don't think we really need to
The
tell,
fifth highest paid athlete in the world. That's
yeah,
that's
on Forbes, on the Forbes list, he made that,
Yeah.
right? $110 million he made this year.
Right.
But here, let's talk about John Ryder really quick, okay? So John Ryder, aka the Gorilla. He's a middleweight, super middleweight, stands 5'9", has a 72-inch reach. Born July 19th, 1988. He's currently 34 years old. He is a southpaw boxer. 37 total fights, 32 wins, 18 KOs, and he's lost 5. I'm only telling you this so people know who Canelo's fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. The most notable names that he has fought were Billy Joe Saunders,
Daniel Jacobs and Callum Smith.
and Callum Smith, right?
Daniel
And
Jacobs.
yeah, and he lost to Callum,
He lost to Callum. He beat Daniel Jacobs.
and he lost to Billy Joe.
Yeah.
Right. So why does he deserve a title shot? Because he's the interim champion right now for the WBA, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So this is Canelo's mandatory.
That's why he gets it. Yeah. Probably not, but this is more of a tune-up fight for him to fight Bivol. I mean, Canelo will win this fight. I don't think he's going to knock him out. I think Canelo wins a unanimous decision. Ryder's tough. He'll be a game opponent. Canelo will, win 8 rounds to 4, 9 to 3 kind of thing. But I mean, John Ryder will have his moments here and there. Overall, Canelo will dominate most of the fight. I see this going into unanimous decision. Canelo for the W. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Canelo for the W, obviously, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I think a lot of people are sleeping on John Ryder here.
He's going to hold his own.
He's going to hold his own, and I think again,
I hope he wins. I don't like Canelo. I would love to see him win.
Look. Here's the deal, and we've talked about this time and time and time again, right? Like, we talk about the face of boxing. Who are the faces of boxing? Here is why Canelo is the face of boxing. He's fighting John Ryder, a guy who has a name in the UK, a guy who has a name in boxing circles with people who know what boxing is, right? But he has a name nowhere else except those areas. You put him in the ring against a Canelo, and it's still considered a pay-per-view.
It's only Canelo and Fury that can do that.
Right. So this is why I'm saying that this is the prime example of a guy who is the true face of the sport. Take nothing
Canelo's
away
record's unreal, 58-2. That's a lot of professional fights. 58 wins.
No, but I think, let's just be realistic about those 52 wins. 46 of them were soup cans.
Yeah.
Taxi cab drivers.
And I was looking at the Vegas odds. They're giving no respect to John Ryder. John Ryder's a 9-1 underdog. $100.
Yeah.
$900 on him. So if you like a long shot, there's your guy.
Well, and again, there's levels to this sport, though, right? Why are Canelo and why are Tyson Fury considered to be what they are? Because they're levels above everyone else, right? And that being said, I feel this is why, it's going to be a long, hard night for him because he can't find his groove. But when you're fighting lesser opponents, you have more leeway. You have more wiggle room to find your groove and stuff. If you don't find your groove against one of these two guys, you're not going to stand a chance, right? If Canelo starts working behind that jab, I don't see this being a long night. I see Canelo finishing him fast.
It could happen.
Just looking at the quality of fighters that John Ryder has fought, and these guys are all quality guys. I'm not taking nothing away from anybody. Even the worst boxer in the world, he steps into that ring, he has my respect, right? but at the end of the day, he's not fought anyone of this level. He's not fought anyone of the skill set or power, in my opinion. If you couldn't beat Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo broke his face,
Yeah.
right? So all I'm saying is ultimately at the end of the day, I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk. I think John Ryder will get his stuff in a little bit, but I feel this is just going to be a schooling. I really truly do.
Yeah, but I think John Ryder can hang on and lose by decision. I don't think he's going to go. He might get rocked and hurt, but I think he can stay on his feet and he'll lose. But I think unanimous decision, Alvarez. This is my take. Everybody's saying Canelo's going to knock him out and put him down, and it could happen. I just got this gut feeling that Ryder is game enough to hang on. We'll see.
I think Canelo takes him down with a body shot.
What's that?
I think Canelo finishes him with a body shot.
Could happen.
I just feel he's gonna get inside and southpaw. I mean, he has no problem. He'll fucking fuck you up any style that you are, right? So
one of the best in the world. So
and I think coming off of everything, losing to Bivol, having all that happen, and especially fighting in Mexico after many, many years. I don't know the last time he fought in Mexico.
Well, I'll tell you right now, when you're in Mexico, John Ryder's not winning the decision. So he either needs to knock Canelo out or he's not winning on the scorecards. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's Canelo's either way, decision or knockout, TKO, whatever the case, corner stoppage. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a corner stoppage either. Like I'll go on the line and say it's going to be, a body shot that takes him out, or the corner stoppage.
Yeah, it could be.
That's how I see this fight playing out. I don't know, man. I just kind of look.
I'm going with decision. I think Canelo will outbox him, but I don't think John Ryder's going to go down. I think he's playing with house money. He's in Canelo's backyard. He's hungry for it, and I think he can hang on.
And to be honest, man, win, lose, or draw, the guy's getting paid.
Exactly, quite a bit of money.
Right. So in a way, who does he really lose?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a little more competitive than some people think, just because of all those.
No, I think it is, but I think it's going to be just as competitive as him fighting. Oh, I just saw him fight, man. I can't remember his name. Who? He fought Benavides.
Caleb
Plant. Sorry. I mean, that was very competitive too. But at the end of it, that's what I'm saying. I see it playing out that way, where he just, by the 10th, 11th round, he's just going to wear him down to the point where he's going to get him. And Canelo's power is just so dirty, man.
I know.
Right? Yeah, right? So, I mean, I think he just wears him down by that point. I don't think Ryder's faced that kind of power.
Not many hits like Canelo, but yeah, we'll see. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. He's a 91 underdog, so if people like to bet a long shot, throw $100 on John Ryder and get 9 times your money.
There you go, man. Free ticket to Vegas.
Yeah, there you go. Put $1,000, pay $9K.
Yeah. All right. Very quickly here, because guys, we have a treat for you on this particular episode as well. We actually had the privilege of sitting down with Jerry Janko this past week. We went to his studios where he holds his rings. Chance, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Jerry?
We had a good interview with Vancouver's own bad boy, Jerry Janko, fight promoter of 40 years. Had a few professional boxing fights of his own. First one in 1961. We asked him some good questions. He talks about some of his favorite Italian fighters. He talks about this ring he obtained. I won't say who fought in that ring. Tune in to check it out. And he's a great guy. He treated us well. He was first class. This is our first live interview together in person. We did one previously. I wasn't there. We set up in the ring. It's great. It's fun. It's short, but it's sweet. Enjoy it. Love it.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry, so much for your hospitality, for allowing us into your world, man. I mean, we talked to a guy who's made rings for promotions and companies around the world. And I asked him, around the world? He goes, yeah, 360 degrees. That's what he said to me. I was like, wow, that's absolutely amazing. So yeah, big shout out to Jerry. There's a lot that he does in the city. He's a fight promoter. He's a ring maker. So you got to check out this interview. Some great stuff that's coming up that he talks about. And yeah.
And I'll give a shout out. I was at his fights a couple weeks ago with the kids. It's a great event at the Fraserview Hall. People check it out. Next fight's in October. They got food. They got a bar. They got tables. They got good action. Check it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. You were there. You had a good time. Flying Reigns passed out, man. I heard.
Yeah, it was a long event.
Yeah.
Good action.
But yeah, guys, please. So we made our predictions here. We both think Canelo is going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins by decision, but I feel
Yeah,
he's going to
hard to
finish
say.
him by the 10th or 11th. I just think it's going to be a body shot. Other than that, that's the highlight of the weekend in the world of boxing. Anything else, man?
I'm just looking forward to everybody enjoying the day with Jerry. Our first live sit down together. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah. We've had a couple. First one you joined us via Zoom. Unfortunately, you couldn't join us for the second one, but it was really good to see you, my friend. And it was really fun to kind of actually do this in person. I really want to do a lot more of
We
those.
got a few guys that we can do that with coming up. Yeah.
I think so. And so guys, sit back, relax, let us all into your ears as you enjoy our conversation with Jerry Janko, the king of the ring, man. Yeah, check it out. Samp&Chance out. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance. I'm your host, Bobby Sampson. Joined as always with me, my man, Mr. Chance Michaels. And here in the middle with us, we got none other than Mr. Jerry Janko. Jerry, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
My pleasure.
Jerry, so tell us, man, what's the story? Who is Jerry?
I've just been promoting for the last 40 years. I started as a high school wrestling coach, and we thought, well, let's put on a fight night. So we put a fight night on. I rented a ring from a boxing club, and it was a piece of junk. So I thought, you know what? I got all the kids together, the construction class, the welding class, and we built our own ring. And it came out spectacular. And that was the start of my ring rental business. Now I'm the largest ring rental company in the world.
Fantastic.
30 rings.
Wow. When you say the world, all across the world?
All across the world, 360 degrees around that globe.
Wow, fantastic.
Well, most places, like if you go to Vegas, they've got 100 rings. You got one or two, you got one or two. Nobody has, like in this city now, to build or buy a ring, it's about $20,000 for a commercial ring. And then you got to store it, and then you got to look for guys to set it up and take it down and all that stuff. It's easier just to bring me in, set it up, take it down. You go home before the night's over. I take everything, pack it up, and gone.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So, when like UFC, for example, is coming into town pretty soon, we also had the WWE here. Do they come to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
They're their own separate entity. WWE has their own special rings. The one we're sitting in is possibly one of the best rings in North America. It's a Stu Hart design, and it's incredible for bumping. Just the padding alone is about $15,000. It's special impact rubber, so the guys can do the high flying and take a really good bump.
Awesome, fantastic. So Jerry, what got you into the whole promoting side of it then?
Well, again, it started from the high school. I was a wrestling coach at a high school, and we decided to put on this fight night, and it went great guns. Kids fighting each other, never happened again. And then the second one, we built our own ring for it, and we had about 1,000 people in the old Burnaby South gym. And then people started asking me to rent the ring, and then a friend of mine was doing shows and said, listen, you're not doing very well. I know a lot of people, so why don't you put the shows in my name and let me sell tickets? And I was selling half of the house personally.
Oh, wow.
And then it just went from there. I went to him and I said, listen, can I hire you to do the promoting, and I'll do the person to person. And that was history. The way we went, first show I did, I lost $8,000. Just about bankrupt myself in that day.
Oh my God.
And it's been back and forth ever since.
And the first show you ever did was a pure boxing show?
No, it was a kickboxing, professional boxing.
Oh, okay.
First one done in Canada.
Wow.
At Queen's Park Arena, April 26th, 1986.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and I just, never looked back. I lost a fortune, made some money, lost a fortune, made some money, but what a time I've had. Cast of characters, and, it's made my life pretty good. I mean, I'm very well known in the city, and I've had an awful lot of fun with it.
And you're a fight fan. You grew up boxing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, actually, my first boxing fight was 1962. Frank McKittrick. I remember like it was yesterday in the old St. Francis de Sales gym, and I lost that one, but I ran into him maybe 10 years ago, and he didn't remember. I
No?
don't think that was both of our first boxing fights. And then my last fight, of course, was July 19th, 2010, 7 decades.
How many fights do you think that you've had?
You know, I've had
Yes.
in the ring fights, you know, only 5 or 6,
Okay.
you know, spread out through the years.
Yeah.
And street fights, over 100.
Wow.
And that's where it really comes from. You got to have the gravel in your guts. You can be the best athlete in the world, but when you fight, it's all mental.
Mhm.
You know, you got to have that gravel in. A lot of guys are great athletes and all that, but they just don't have the gravel in their guts.
So Jerry, when you were growing up, you must have been a fan of boxing. Who were some of your favorite fighters as a kid or teenager that
Well,
inspired you to get into this?
Like everybody else in the world, Muhammad Ali was the greatest fighter. Really, he was one of the greatest fighters in the world. I mean, he was the first guy that would back up, still throwing punches. He could throw punches from any angle. He was. People just didn't realize what an incredible athlete he was, and how he had an iron chin. Yeah, he got hit by some of the best heavyweights in the world, and he beat like George Foreman,
Yeah, it's just
the beast himself.
Yeah, I saw a video of him recently. Even in his 70s, the guy is monstrous.
Well, what it is, you don't lose your power. You lose your speed and your
agility.
well, your reflexes. My last fight, my hands were like greased lightning. My reflexes, I could see a punch coming, going, I should, boom, get out of the way. You know, your reflexes start to diminish at probably about 35. You know, Floyd Mayweather, yeah, he's good and all this, but he's so good, he knows what you're going to do before you do it. And he handpicks his opponents. You know, he fought Canelo on his way up.
Yeah, Canelo's still young, not
Yeah,
developed yet,
young, and he just knew that, I guess his coaching staff said, we're going to get this guy, get him now. Don't get him in a year from now, because, you know, he's going to get bigger and stronger and a lot more talented. And, you know, he's still one of the biggest draws in the world.
Yep.
Him
All
and
those exhibition fights,
yeah,
he still skips millions of bucks.
him and Tyson Fury, they're, you know, I mean, Mayweather, like, he's good. You know, one of the fastest hands ever. And talented enough to know what you're going to do before you do it. Because he'll watch hours and hours of your tape going, okay, he's going to step this way, then he's going to throw this or that. So as you're getting ready, as you're taking that step, boom, he's already throwing his punches.
Yeah,
And
very
he grew up
similar.
boxing. His dad was a fighter too, so he grew up 5 years old in the gym, dad and uncle. So he had that hands-on, top level.
Yeah, but
training.
you know what? It's 1 in a million guys, or maybe 1 in 10 or 20 million. They've got everything working for them. They have all the right attributes, mentally, physically. Other guys can do the same similarities, but they just don't have that natural talent.
Jerry, what are some of the highlights of your promoting career that stand out for you? What are some of the fights that you brought to Vancouver that people revel in but don't realize the man who brought it to us?
Well, you know, I did the Tough Guys for a while, and they were fabulous. Pure entertainment. Now, they don't allow it anywhere in North America anymore because too many guys that didn't know what they were doing got in the ring.
You're afraid of the tough man contest where anybody could enter?
Yeah. And some of those guys were facing really good amateurs, or, well, you couldn't fight as a pro. But, you know, like they had 5 deaths in 1 year. That was it in North America. Well, you know, I mean, anytime you get hit in the head, you just don't know what can happen.
Yeah.
You know, you can be a seasoned pro and just something loosens up, you're dead. Benny Kit Brett, John Kim, the list goes on and on and on of people that have been killed in the ring.
Very dangerous. You don't know what you're doing. Especially, right?
No, but even if you do, I mean, somebody still hits you. I mean, people don't understand your chin is delicate. The most delicate part of your head is your temple.
Right.
I actually met Mickey Ward when he came to town in 2010, and he told me that a Toro Gotti hit him so hard on the left side of his head that his brain shifted, and now he can't see past 10 feet.
Yeah.
That's what you're afraid of, right?
No, you know, sometimes you see a guy, he'll just slide his hand past your temple, and you're going, the guy looks at him, boom, falls down. So the temple is very, very, the bone is very thin there. And, you know, punching somebody, especially with bare knuckles, very, very dangerous.
Your thoughts on the whole bare knuckle fighting craze that's kind of taken over now?
You know, I haven't actually watched one because I really just don't have any interest in it.
Sure.
If there were really tough guys and went at it, I mean, I can't speculate at this point because I really haven't seen one yet. So I'm going to have to watch it and I can give my opinion on it, but I don't think it's getting anywhere fast.
Well, this last card that they had was probably their biggest in terms of names and athletes that they had involved. Luke Rockhold against Mike Perry. You had Chad Mendez against Eddie Alvarez. So some big names, kind of flipping over. So I don't know. I'm not sure about it myself, but
Did you see the event?
I watched the highlights.
Okay, so what did you think?
For myself personally,
Yes.
I'm a boxing purist,
Yeah.
to be fair. It was a little difficult to watch because I'm not used to seeing that kind of combat without the padding or the gloves. So for me, yeah, it's pretty gruesome, right? I mean, I think you have to have a certain, like, I don't know. It's kind of like watching someone get the shit kicked out of them on the street.
Let me
In
tell
essence.
let me tell you something about bare knuckle boxing. It's much, much safer than actually traditional boxing.
Okay,
And I'll tell you why.
please.
You can't hit somebody very many times with your bare hand.
Right,
With gloves on, it doesn't protect your head, it protects your hands.
right.
You tape up your hands, it ends up being almost like a cast. So I can hit you a multitude of times.
Yes.
And, why they invented gloves, because boxing was outlawed at the turn of the last century. So some smart promoter thought, I'll put gloves on these guys. It'll be really fair and easy, and nobody will get hurt. And the politicians ate it up like it was ice cream. But it's because they didn't know shit.
Mhm.
And they got away with it. And then, of course, there went the boxing started to climb ever since.
As we know it today.
Yep.
Gerry, what are some of your favorite venues that you've promoted fights in?
PNA, I fought myself in the Pacific Coliseum. A little bit too big for what we have locally, but the Agrodome is just a fabulous room. The last show we did there was 3,200 people, and it's just a great feeling, great room. We're hoping to be back there probably in 2025. By that time, I'll know where the economy's going, because we don't know if this whole thing's going to slide into the toilet. So I just don't want to stick my neck out. I've stuck my neck out enough times, lost a fortune.
Sure.
And now I step on the ice before I go make my first step to see how thick it is.
Right.
I took big chances and lost big.
Okay. Jerry, I'm remiss if I don't ask you. You are in the possession, I understand, of the ring that Muhammad Ali
Yes,
fought in.
it's actually next door.
It's next door.
Yeah, it's I bought it for $200 from the PNE.
Oh, wow.
And if you offered me $100,000 for that ring, I wouldn't sell it. When I was a kid, I was 12 years old. My dad took me to wrestling matches, Whipper Billy Watson, Gene Kiniski, all those guys. And I was mesmerized by the ring. And when my dad realized I was just so enthralled with it, he actually built me a little wrestling ring. And we had a farm, and we had a feed house there.
Sure.
And that just started the whole thing. And I said I made my first ring at Burnaby South High School.
Right.
And then somebody wanted a 24-foot ring, so we made it. I charged them $250, which is a lot of money in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I just never looked back. Just kept on making them. Some people had rings for sale. I'd buy them and give them back to them. I said, listen, I want your ring. I'll give it back to you. Just let me put my name in your corner pads. Oh, yeah, no problem.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did the Ali ring come into your possession then? You bought it for $200, but how did it all pan out for you?
Oh, well, I've used it in multitude of gyms myself.
Sure.
I've rented it out a few times, but I have one we're in right now is probably the best wrestling ring around. That in those days they didn't do what they do now. Like even when a guy body slammed you, he took you almost 2 feet away from the ring, and it had a little give, but you just couldn't do the stuff people are doing now.
Yeah, they're much better nowadays.
Yeah. But how did you get the ring? That's my question though.
Well,
Like, where did it? How did you find it? How did it
they,
come in your possession?
Because I did a few shows at the PNE,
Right.
and they had this ring, and nobody used it anymore. Okay. So they put it up for tender. Nobody took it, and I said, "Listen, the ring is good. Half the pieces are missing. Blah 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 blah." They said, "Listen, come today, give us $200 and get that thing out of here." So I borrowed $100 off a friend of mine, and I had $100, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, I don't care if it means anything to anybody in the world. It means everything to me.
Okay, so the Pawn Star guy in me is coming out. How would I know? How would you be able to tell people that this is the ring that Ali fought in?
Well, I'd like to get it into a building where I could put old pictures from the P&E, Buddy Nature Boy Rogers in 1962 did a show at the Empire Stadium, July 30th, 1962. There were 17,000 people there. And as a kid, an 11-year-old kid, I'm running beside Buddy Nature Boy Rogers, the biggest name in wrestling at that time.
When you were a kid, Joe, you were more of a wrestling fan or a boxing fan?
I was all wrestling. I was hoping to do the wrestling myself, but I was just too small.
Okay.
So I went over to England to try and do professional wrestling over there, but it just wasn't very big over there.
Okay.
So
Not those in those days.
yeah, I mean here you had guys Don Leo, Jonathan, Gene Kaniski. You had some pretty big guys.
England was known for Big Daddy.
Yeah, and that day was a guy named Jackie Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the big star over there.
I remember growing up in the UK, and it was Big Daddy, Steve Speed.
I don't know those names.
Yeah, I know this
Yeah.
was
I
from
don't know
the
Steve Speed either.
early to mid 80s. I
Okay.
remember. I don't know too much about them. I remember that Big Daddy did a splash off the top rope and killed someone.
Oh no.
Yeah, in the ring. Like it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
What can happen? I mean,
Yeah.
when a 250-pound guy lands on your chest,
Yeah.
All
And
sorts of shit can
Yeah,
happen.
absolutely. When I say the name Danny Bottaducci, what
Yes.
comes to mind?
Well, we were supposed to fight in 2007. In fact, I wanted to fight him in July 7th of 2007. 777, which are my lucky numbers.
Awesome.
But everything was all good, but there were just, we had a few technical problems, we'll call them. So I had to cancel the show 2 days before the event. It's too bad because we tried to get him up here 10 days before. Rock 101 was going to engineer one of the rooms so he could run his daily show there.
Sure.
And the publicity we got, I mean, it was the whole city was going crazy.
I hear about Jake talking about in the morning when I'm driving. Like, there was a lot of hype for it.
It
What,
was
what building was that supposed to take
It was
place
going to be
in?
at the Coliseum, and if we did it right, we would have sold it out 15,000 people. But it just didn't happen, and it's too bad.
Did you ever speak to Bonaducci after this?
Yeah, I had him up here for 5 days, and what a gentleman.
Is he?
Okay.
He said, "Listen, I'm an actor. The crazier things I do, publicity goes through the roof." And I brought him to the Italian Cultural Center. There's a big Italian banquet on that night, and there was a lineup for 2 hours. And I said, "Listen, do you want me to cut the line?" He said, "No." He said, "When that lineup stops, I'm in trouble." So he was great.
Wow,
I took him
that's
to Republic, took him to Roxy, people just lining up wherever we went. And it's unfortunate that that event didn't happen.
Too bad. Was he a party guy? Did he like to dance and
Yeah,
dance?
he like you said, I'm just drinking water. I found out later it was vodka.
I
But
figured.
no, he was good. I went to LA and sparred with him for 5 rounds. And really, he didn't have much of a chance.
Crazy.
But if he hit you, holy cow. Very, very powerful, very strong, very good. Could hit like a sledgehammer.
He's built solid, right? He's got that.
Oh, yeah, well, he's all jacked up on growth hormones.
Oh,
Big there when he got older, right? Really
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
Well, at the time, I told him the lowest I can get is probably 180. He was 155 when we were sparring. He says, "No, I'll be 180 when I get there." He had a special robe done, his music and everything. Paid for his own airfare up here.
Oh wow.
But like I said, there was some political problems.
What made you decide to reach out to him for the fight? Or were you
Well,
like,
I
how did
just
this come to fruition?
wanted to do a big fight.
Okay.
It kind of basically my last fight.
Yeah.
I thought, who the hell? And actually, a guy named Zoli said, "Listen, you're this guy, that guy. What about Danny Bonaducci, the bad boy of Hollywood against the bad boy of Vancouver? It's a natural."
Yeah, that was cool.
So it took me a little while to get a hold of him, but I finally reached him and I started talking to him personally. He said, "Sure, I'll come up."
Awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you're a big boxing fan.
I really,
I love to ask you, seeing all the different generations that we've experienced in boxing. For me, I came in early 80s
Yeah.
and I saw Hagler, and for me, that was it.
it was a golden era. Maybe the late 50s going in, the late 40s going into the 50s was also a golden era. But God, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray
Yeah.
Leonard, Hearns,
Yeah.
Hagler,
Yeah.
And all the guys that those guys beat too.
Exactly. And within each other. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you were getting best against best at all times.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about boxing today now? Where do you?
There's just nothing out there. There's no rising stars. Canelo, and he's aging out. Tyson Fury's 1 or 2 fights away from packing it in.
But-
And I don't know how they're going to create that superstar.
I think right now, if you look at it, it's maybe not in the heavyweight division. Maybe Jared Anderson might step up from the North American side. But when I look at the current state, the big names are all down between, and we've talked about this, they're all at 130, between 130 and
Did
147.
you see that Tank Davis Garcia fight
I
last
did.
weekend?
I
That
heard
was a
of
pretty
it.
good fight.
Yeah. Unfortunately, someone was going to bring one of Manny Pacquiao's fighters here a few years ago. 130 pounds, just a sensation. I said, it isn't going to work. See, people here want to see the big heavyweights. Two tubs of lard could fight
Oh yeah.
and draw a bigger crowd than a sensational 130 pounder.
There's just something about two big guys fighting the heavy in
Yeah.
boxing. We just like you want to see Fury versus Joshua. You want to see the big guys go at Tyson, versus Lewis or whatever. Right? There's something special about heavyweight fighting.
It's a North American deal. It's Canada, United States, because in Mexico they're 110 pounds.
Yeah.
And they're just like two little bantam roosters. In Europe, you can get away with lighter guys because they're really, really good. They're going to put on a performance and a half. But North America here, I mean, look at WWE wrestling. Some of these guys are just freaks. 7 feet tall, 300, 400 pounds. And that's what we want to see, freaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, there's levels to fandom, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got us who I'll watch anything,
Yeah.
boxing,
Yeah.
and appreciate what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Chance will do the same. I'm sure you will be the same.
I
But
would too.
it's just like, I feel like we're catering so much to the casual fan that we're forgetting about the fans that have been here the whole time.
But I don't know, it's just our culture.
Mhm.
We like to see the big guys.
Yeah.
And the little guys who fight with their whole heart and soul
Yeah.
and put on a fabulous performance,
Yeah.
we're just not as thrilled with it, I guess.
Fair enough.
Jerry, who are some of your favorite boxers that you've watched over the years? Like, name 5 or 6 guys. If there's a fight on, you had to see it.
Well, my favorite, pound for pound, the toughest man on earth was Roberto Duran.
No Moss?
No Mas. Well, I'll tell you about that. That wasn't no Mas.
No?
It was his turn to lose. And he just went, Leonard come out dancing around and all that, making him kind of look like an idiot. So he just said, forget you. He actually said, F you, and then got out of the ring.
You think he took a dive?
No, he just walked out of the ring.
So I'm done with it.
Well, you're trying to make a fool of me.
Okay.
We were going to do a trilogy. And the third one, of course, we go at it. You win this one, I win that one. And then we have the big one in the Superdome. It was
wow.
already booked
Right.
for about number 3.
Right.
And
I didn't realize that's how
I
they
like
were
that
looking
take.
at
I
it.
never heard that take
Yeah.
before.
Wow.
That's
Well, we
different.
have you here to hear it take.
Exactly.
Exactly. Anywhere else, right?
So they were, how do you,
how do I know this?
well, no, I
Okay.
believe how you know this,
Yeah.
but I'm curious. My question is like, how do they determine who's going to win the first one, the second one? That's basically throwing
Well,
fights, right?
If Leonard won that fight, it wouldn't be as exciting because Duran won it. Now it's exciting. So the second one, Duran was going to lose. And then the third one, just, hey, guys, go at it.
How do they determine how does he lose them?
It's all about money.
I get it.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, buddy, I'm going to put $5 million in an account offshore. Your wife can't touch it. The IRS can't touch it. Magic.
Well, then we're in the wrong business, Jerry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Who else besides Duran did some of your top guys?
Duran, of course, Rocky Marciano, Rocky Graciano, Jake LaMotta. They're all Italians.
Yeah.
I kind of lean towards that. At one time, Italian kids were tough.
Yeah.
They're not anymore. There's no great Italian fighters anymore.
Who was the
because-
last one? Gotti? Earl Gotti?
Yeah. He was the
South
last one.
America.
The gravel in his guts.
Oh yeah.
How unfortunate for him. But, now they're well brought up. You've got to be hungry, like really, really hungry to have that true gravel in your guts.
Do you find that gravel exists more in the UK scene, perhaps more so than the North American scene?
Oh, 10 times. Well, people don't understand. Boxing's still huge in England.
It is
Soccer's number 1.
Yeah.
Boxing's number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyson Fury and Dillian White put 90,000 people in Wembley
Yeah.
Stadium about 6 months or a year ago. So
Absolutely.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they sell out all their arenas. Like every
Yeah.
event is sold out.
But, they're fight people.
Yes, very
They
passionate.
really
fans.
are. Yes. The 4 big countries for boxing is, of course, Cuba is in a world of their own now. Cuba, Russia, United States, and England.
Mhm.
They're your 4 big ones.
Yeah. Absolutely. Jerry, we should probably wrap this up. We got
Yep.
people coming in here to train.
Yep.
So we want to be able to get everyone going here. Jerry, thank you so much for this
my
time.
pleasure.
I'd love to
Thank
have you back on the show again.
Anytime.
There's just
Anytime.
probably so much we haven't even touched on.
Yeah.
So let's call this our first get
Yes.
together.
Thank you very
And
much.
round one, let's call
Yeah.
this round one.
Round one.
And let's get together for round two very
And
soon.
Thank you very much. For your
So,
time, guys.
Jerry, before that, though, what's coming up in the world of Jerry Janko? What events can people look forward to?
Well, we've got a deal coming up with the racetrack.
Okay.
You know, we're going to be doing wrestling there. I want to do
Hastings.
some, Hastings racetrack in the PNE. And we hope to build it to be back in the Agrodome. I haven't done a show in the Agrodome now for 15 years.
Okay.
And it's time to go back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jerry, thank you so much again,
Very
sir. I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, and we'll get to round two very soon.
Okay, great.
All right,
Thank you.
guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. We will talk to you soon. Samp&Chance out.